is ASMR. My cat is wanting to join in today. She's lying on the floor next to me, like, wanting fuss and, like, meowing and purring and stuff. So today's video is hospital bags for labour list. So I've got a subscriber who is due to give birth within the next month, and I've been aware of this, and I've been trying to get through all of my like baby essentials and like useful information for that subscriber, and I'm hoping that this isn't too late for them because they may have already packed their hospital bag. But I just thought I'd run through. This is the packing list that I used for. I'm all about lists. I have an Excel spreadsheet where I organise my whole life, and a lot of big things will end up in lists. This is one that was compiled from various lists I found online and advice from different places. So I'm going to go through, just start at the beginning and work my way through, and I'll mention which things I used and which things I didn't. So I had like a ring binder with like all of my maternity type paperwork and notes. I took it with me, didn't actually touch it, so I'm going to colour that in. Orange, as didn't use it. It was a bit of a waste of time. However, birth plan was important. I took a copy of my birth plan in with me. I had already run past the details with my midwife, but my midwife wasn't actually there. She was on holiday when my baby chose to arrive. She was literally on holiday for like a couple of days, and that's when my baby chose to arrive. So I had other midwives taking care of the birth. To be honest, I'm not sure how much they read my birth plan. It's questionable. But it's useful to have it handy if there's particular things that you want flagged up, because when you're in the middle of giving birth, you are not in a position to be expressing your wishes. I took cash and cards with me, but to be honest, I mean, this will depend on where you're at and what kind of hospital you're giving birth in. Where I was at, all my meals were provided for me. I didn't need my cash or cards. My husband needed money to go get himself something to eat, but all of that stuff was covered for me. I scored out dressing gown before I even went. It was on my list. I didn't even take it with me because my dressing gown is like one of those big terry toweling, really big and bulky. I mean, it would have taken a whole bag just to itself. And I thought, I don't want to be lugging it there if there's a chance that I won't actually use it. And I didn't ever at any point wish I had it. I imagine if you've got one of those like thinner material, like dressing gowns that as like a bit of a cover up, might be great. But I don't have one of those. I only have this big bulky thick one that was just ridiculous. I wasn't going to take that with me. But I would, so for giving birth, depending on we now have a cat on the page too. Depending on where you're giving birth, like whether you plan to be in a bed or in a birthing pool, I took a bikini. I took the whole bikini set, because to start with I had my bottoms on because I didn't need to have them off to start with. So to start with, I had my bikini on, so I used my bikini. However, as the labour progressed, they took me out of the pool because they couldn't monitor baby's heartbeat well enough, so they took me out of the pool and put me on a bed, and the bottoms came off because that's where everything's happening and they need to be able to see. And then I took my top off because it was annoying me, because when you're in the middle of giving birth, everything annoys you. talking about you now, because I was like making all sorts of noises, and I kept like moving around. At some points I was like climbing off of the bed to like kneel on the floor, just because it was like an instinct thing. I needed to move, and I wanted to get down on the floor, and it's really hard to explain. I just had to. And I got really annoyed with the medical staff if they were telling me to do certain things. And I'm like, no, I need to be doing this. And said my bikini top started to annoy me, so I just took it off. I was like, well, I'm giving birth. I didn't really care. Like, normally I am such a self-conscious kind of person who would never be nude in public. But when I was in the middle of giving birth, I was just like, get this thing off of me, it's annoying me. And they kept trying to cover me with towels, and I was like, they're just annoying me, get them off. So, but yes, it's useful to start with appropriate clothing. They also recommend, like, if you're just planning on giving birth in... Apologies, I'll be yawning. If you're just planning on giving birth in the bed and you're not going to have the pool, I'd suggest something like an old night dress or big large t-shirt, something you don't care if it gets gross, basically. Because there is like blood and goop and all sorts of disgusting stuff that does come out and gets places. So an item of clothing you're not too precious about, but that's comfortable. You want to be comfortable. That is the most important thing. One really useful thing is if you do have something that's front opening, so that once you've given birth, if you're not completely naked already like I was, it's really good to do skin-to-skin contact with your baby when it's born. Whether you plan to breastfeed or not, skin-to-skin contact with both the mother and the child and the dad or other partner and the child is really good. It helps release happy hormones. It's good for you, it's good for the baby. It's a really good thing to do. And a fun fact for a woman who's just given birth, cuddling your baby skin to skin releases oxytocin, which helps with your milk production, but it also helps with the uterus contracting back down to size again. So if you want to try and get your belly back to any semblance of what it used to look like, hug your baby more. It's science. So the point I was making is, if you've got something you're thinking you'll wear while you're giving birth, as I said, if you still have clothes on when you do give birth, unlike me who was naked, if you've still got clothes on when you give birth, it's good to have something that can either be pulled down or opened up so the baby can get in there and get skin to skin. So yeah, that's kind of, bear that in mind when you're doing that. It's also useful to have slippers or flip-flops or something to be wearing on your feet when you're around the hospital. I took them. I was really bad for forgetting to use them, and my husband kept telling me off. But yeah, you want some kind of slippers or flip-flops or something to put on your feet when you're toddling about the hospital. I took a towel. I didn't use it because the hospital provided towels. That will depend. I would check with the hospital. That's not just for if you're planning on doing a pool birth, but if you're wanting to have a shower. Some hospitals provide towels, some don't. It obviously depends on what country you're in, what kind of hospital. I was really fortunate that up here in Shetland, our hospital are like, they came with nappies, they came with towels, they were offering me baby clothes if I needed them. They've got so much stuff there at the hospital that I gave birth in. But yeah, it's worth checking beforehand. I took a towel just in case. Didn't need it though. Hairbands, I don't have one on my wrist. Just like, I call them a bobble, but some people call them like a hair tie or a hair elastic. Something to get your hair out of the way in whatever shape is necessary. I did use that because my hair was annoying me. So I took a music player, and this is where some things it's worth checking with the hospital, what you can and can't do in advance. advance, but basically the hypnobirthing advises you to create this lovely atmosphere to give birth in. They suggest dim lighting, they suggest like scented like room sprays, they suggest like mood music and everything. I took a whole bunch of stuff with me. I did not use the room spray. I was in the middle of giving birth. I didn't care what it smelled like. We didn't use the battery operated fairy light candles that we took. We were in the labour room, there was lights on. It was like we didn't really have time to get all things set up before we went to the hospital when I was already having strong contractions, and I didn't really care at that point about trying to create a pretty ambiance. I was just wanting to get on with it. I think my husband took his camera, but I don't actually know if we've remembered to take photos. We did get photos on my phone. It is really good. Quite often the staff will be quite accommodating to get some photos. Personally, those photos of me basically naked with the baby and my husband, they obviously put a sheet over me by that point. Those first photographs I have not shared on social media. I have immediate family got to see those photographs, but those were very private and personal to me, but I still wanted them. I still wanted to get those first moments captured, but they are, as I said, very private to us, and we are not making them public, but we will probably put them in an album or something at some point. So I would recommend to have some device to take photos. Some people want to do videos. That probably was best. We didn't do that. But the music players I have this speakers that I can plug my iPod onto that worked really well. I'd put a bunch of different playlists onto my iPod before we went. I'd put the hypnobirthing CD, MP3s that I got from my hypnobirthing course. It's relaxation techniques and stuff. I also had put my visualizations and stuff. I did not use those. I probably should have. But I also had a bunch of different playlists I created. I had a Christian worship music playlist. I had a rock music playlist. I had a kind of pop music playlist. So I could kind of wait and see what kind of mood I was in at the time. While I was giving birth, it was the rock music playlist. So it was punk, ska, rock and metal that my baby was born to. Apparently I gave birth to Evanescence. A track by Evanescence is what my baby came out to, because one of the midwives was able to tell me that after I was oblivious to the world as to what was happening, so I missed that entirely, what was playing at the time, but it was nice having music in the background. It kind of gave me something to focus on with the breathing and the helping to relax into the contractions. You really want to be able to focus on something when you're in labour and those contractions hit. The more you tense up, the more they hurt. So you really have to force yourself to relax just really hard. But if you can kind of zen out and focus, that's why they refer to it as hypnobirthing. You're kind of going into almost a hypnotic state, but it's not hypnotizing. It's you're kind of going to almost a different plane of consciousness, and just focusing completely on that moment. It's really weird, it's really intense, but the music I found helped. I took headphones for just in case while I was staying in the hospital I wanted to be able to listen to music without, but I had my own private room, so I never needed my headphones. So they were never needed. I did take a charging block, so that even if I couldn't plug into a wall, I could still charging block, and I took obviously phone chargers and things like that. That was very much needed, and I took my mobile phone, which is needed to phone family and let them know how things were going, take photos of baby. I took a book. I didn't have time to read it. I was either giving birth or looking after a brand new baby. There was no time for reading books. I took a face cloth. I did not want people putting cold flannels on my face while I was giving birth. It was very much, no, don't do that. But you probably want to take one just in case. I took a hot water bottle. Again, did not want it. Did not use it. I didn't actually have a fan, but I definitely wouldn't have wanted it. I was very much, stop annoying me, let me get on with it. So this is all things for like during the actual labour. I took a whole bunch of snacks with me. I was not able to eat whilst I was giving birth. I couldn't. I had a couple bits of Weetabix in the morning to after my baby had arrived. I think I had a couple mouthfuls of a sandwich and a couple Maltesers, and that was it. I couldn't eat. I was scared I was going to be sick if I tried. But it's useful to have it with you. The midwife team said it's better to have food there and not need it, especially things like jelly babies. They give you energy. It's like running a marathon. Marathon runners often eat jelly babies. You're basically doing the same thing when you're giving birth. It's a really grueling, long process, typically. You need to keep your energy up. I wasn't really able to eat, but I'd still recommend taking that with you. I did, however, really need... I had Lucozade and apple juice, which I drank, and that really helped to give me the energy I needed. You need to keep your fluids up while you're giving birth, to stop your blood pressure from dropping too far and everything. So that is the actual stuff for when I gave birth. After birth, so you want comfortable clothing. It depends on how long you're likely to be in the hospital for, but you want comfortable clothing. You want comfortable nightwear. Again, front opening if possible. Doesn't matter if you're planning on breastfeeding. Just being able to cuddle your baby and do that skin to skin. It's not just when it's first born, but the first few days. I didn't actually have pyjamas, but my brother's girlfriend bought me this fantastic set of... They were really soft and big and baggy, and they were comfortable pyjamas with like a button open front. Very useful. And then I had another pair of pyjamas, but I basically just lived in one pair of pyjamas after I gave birth. So you want comfortable clothing, you want comfortable nightwear, you want large knickers. Now, I found that while I was pregnant with the bump, I just went up a size of underwear anyway. While I was pregnant, because my normal size of underwear were just digging in where the bump was coming out. So I got up a size of knickers anyway because I needed the comfort. Although, actually saying that, I didn't wear actual underwear after I gave birth. It's instead the wonderfully sexy disposable knickers that they give you. This is pants, as in British pants, not American pants. We refer to underwear as pants. The things you wear outside of your underwear is your trousers or your jeans or your or something like that. So when Americans talk about having no pants on, it means something completely different in the UK. The hospital, I didn't actually buy in disposable underwear because the hospital I gave birth at provided them. But if, for example, you're somewhere where you have to pay for everything at the hospital, you probably want to bring your own. So you want really comfortable and maternity pads to go inside them. It's glamorous, it's sexy, it's everything you dreamed it would be. I wore them for a few days after giving birth. They disposable underwear with the maternity pads inside. You just basically want to be comfortable. And then I also had, so I was choosing to breastfeed, so I had a nursing bra. If you're not choosing to breastfeed, you'll want a comfortable bra. Whether you're breastfeeding or not, you'll want breast pads because you're going to leak. And you'll want some method of getting the baby home. I took a baby sling with us. We didn't use it because I wasn't going anywhere. I needed to strap her to me. But then you will need a car seat to get the baby. Actually, it's a lie because we used a baby car seat to carry the baby out to the car, and then we transferred her from that into the car seat we had in the car. You will want basic toiletries, so you'll want your, I don't know if I used the hairbrush, I had it with me. Somebody has opinions. Yeah. Is that so? Yeah. Are you gonna help? Yeah, you gonna help? Now she's rubbing her face against the camera. Are you gonna lie down and be useful? So, I mean, I chose to get, have a shower and everything while I was in the hospital before I came home, and it was nice to do that. I can't remember if I washed my hair or not, but I definitely had a wash. I would have moisturised my face, and I put deodorant on, and maybe brushed my hair, and I brushed my teeth, and we'll pretend I washed my hair. I can't remember if I did or not, but I probably did. Yeah, so basically toiletries, just whatever your normal toiletries are. Some women do want to put a full face of makeup on while they're in the hospital to get a photo with the baby of them in the hospital with the baby with a full face of makeup on, because that's something that they would prefer. If that is the case, then by all means pack a full bag of, pack your normal makeup items. Personally, I haven't worn makeup since before my baby was born. It's just not high on my list of priorities, but I don't judge or condemn women who choose to want to look nice for those early photos with the baby. So it's kind of think about your own toiletry needs, what you would normally want to have. But yeah, having a good shower in the hospital before you come home is nice. Then in terms of the things you need for your baby, you will want nappies. It's quite nice to have nappy sacks to put the nappies into when they're dirty, for throwing them away. You'll want wet wipes or cotton wool balls that you use with water. You'll want some kind of barrier nappy cream. Those cloths that I can't pronounce, you'll want those. It's useful to have a towel for baby because the hospital, the midwives helped me give baby a bath in the hospital before I went home so that they could talk me through how to do it. You'll then want some outfits for your baby. Now I would recommend a few outfits, and if possible have a few sizes. If you've had any kind of growth scan, you might have a rough idea of what weight your baby's going to be, but they're not hugely accurate. They're not 100% accurate. So it's useful having unless you're having a tiny baby, because over here you get tiny baby, newborn, and then 0 to 3 month. I'd recommend maybe having some newborn and some 0 to 3 month, just in case. Because I took just newborn stuff, and my baby was actually a little bit too big for it. So after a few days I had to swap her to the 0 to 3 month stuff. We were in the hospital for several days. The cat's making noise trying to open the door. We were in the hospital for several days. You want a few outfits a day sort of thing. I think we went in with 4 outfits or something. some people get a nice outfit to put the baby in to take it home. We didn't bother. But then again, that's personal preference. If you want to have a nice outfit for yourself and for the baby, I'd recommend for yourself, make sure it's comfortable. And for the baby, yeah, you can have fun with that if it's your thing. You'll want some bibs. Scratch mittens for when they're really little is useful. I didn't really need socks because I had sleep suits with the feet on, so I didn't actually need socks. And the hospital actually provided a hat. But yeah, you'll want a hat to put on the baby, and like some kind of cardigan or blanket or something to wrap them in before you take them outside for the first time. But you don't want anything big and bulky for putting the baby in the car seat because that's not safe. So you're better to have a blanket. So you put the baby in the car seat in just its normal clothes, and then you wrap them up in a blanket after they're strapped in. That way they keep safe but also nice and warm. So that is basically what you need when you go into the hospital. Obviously some of these items that I didn't need will depend on whether you are, like, what kind of hospital you're giving birth in. You might have to pay for things, you might have to bring your own towels and things. In my mind, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it, but most hospitals, if you realise, well, also to clarify, if you're giving birth alone, that's also very different. If there's no support network around you, you don't have a partner there with you or family nearby, just make sure you have everything you need. If you're going to have a partner handy or you've got family close by and you realise you've forgotten something, you can quickly phone somebody and they can go fetch it for you. Now, I also had colostrum, which I had expressed beforehand, which I brought with me. Oh, that's a good point. Nowhere on here does have anything about feeding. Did I take bottles with me to the hospital? I can't remember if I took bottles with me to the hospital or not. I mean, I was breastfeeding, or attempting to. I was expressing my own milk and feeding the baby myself. Again, the hospital provided, like, cup things for me to express into. The cat's wanting a cuddle. The hospital provided the cups for me to express into. Oh, I've maybe not fed her yet this morning. That's maybe why she's being so friendly. It's like lunchtime, and she's still not had her breakfast. No, I did feed you this morning. I did. I definitely did. So yes, the hospital provided me with the cups to express into, and then I was just cup feeding, because I mean, the first couple of days, they really don't consume very much. If you're planning on formula feeding, you can actually get pre-made, like bottles of pre-made up formula. I would just recommend just getting some of those, so you're not having to faff about with mixing bottles while you're in the hospital, and you're not having to faff about with like sterilising them and stuff. It's just a pre-made up bottle. And yeah, but obviously make sure you've got all that stuff at home if you need it. And yeah, but babies don't really need to have lots of toiletries, because if you do give them a wash before you leave the hospital, you don't actually use any soap or anything, so you don't need baby shampoo or anything like that at that stage. So yeah, my cat's being helpful. I can't think of anything else at this point. My cat's rubbing her face against the camera. I am going to go and have my lunch because I'm hungry, and I'm hoping to do another video either today or tomorrow updating my bullet journal, because it's the end of March now already, and so yeah, need to get that updated. Okay, well, you guys take care, and I will see you soon. see you again in a video soon. Take care.